Wow, talk about being tested this morning. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, there was a tech issue with computers being automatically updated, and it totally unhinged everything this morning. But this speaks to exactly what I'm going to address today. But before I get into those causes of suffering and upset, what I invite you to start with is supine Baddha Konasana. So that is to be lying on your back, and you may need cushions to support you, or your blocks. I hope you, let me see here, I'm seeing, got the new link. Okay, great. You know, this is the thing about live. Anything can happen. So look, I want you to lie on your back, bring the soles of your feet together with your knees splayed out, and then try to have your back in neutral, which means your rib cage won't be poking up, nor will your back be flat on the floor. It has a happy medium, so it's relaxed and open. And then I'm showing you with the blocks, if you need support for your knees or your thighs. Now, this should be a safe posture for most of us. And there are tremendous benefits in just hanging out here in supine Baddha Konasana. First of all, it's addressing your abdominal organs, your ovaries, your prostate, any issues with menstruation pain or discomfort or menopause. This helps to reduce symptoms. Clearly, we are stretching the inner thigh adductor muscles, the groin area, which is a good area to keep stretched. We don't do a lot of that in our normal everyday activity. And then, of course, we're externally rotating the large femur bone, so that's the upper leg bone that fits into a nice rounded space called the acetabulum in your hip bone. So this is a beautiful, it's a gentle stretch to the knees. It's a gentle stretch for the hips. It's an opening. And actually, we're going to do some work today to support and nourish our hips. And especially for those of us who've been told that we may have a little osteopenia or osteoporosis. Some of the workout we're going to do today will definitely support and nourish and help protect this hip joint and strengthen the 22 muscles that support the joint I just described, the femur as it rests in the acetabulum of our hip bones. Now, while we're at it, why don't you bring your arms into cactus pose, if that feels okay for you. Obviously now this is externally rotating your arm bones and opening up your chest and lengthening your collarbone and relieving some of the, well, it may not actually be relieving stress and pressure, because this may actually feel stressful because we're spending so much time in our forward flexion. Even if you're out there cross-country skiing or downhill skiing or shoveling snow, anybody? Yeah. So, we're always in that forward flexion. So this may not feel entirely comfortable for this moment, but just please breathe into it. And I know at least one of you is laid up with a bummer ankle. And if you're lying in bed or just hanging out, maybe you can gently open up also your shoulders and raise your arms above your head. The person I'm referring to, she knows plenty about her body, and listen, everything we do has a risk factor. But the fact that you've shown up for yoga really is, again, the best form of self-care. It is the best way to be proactive. And let's raise the arms completely over and behind the head now. Can you do that? You're raising your arms up and your hands are kind of like slicing so that your fingertips are pointing backwards, but you're resting your hands on the side of your hand. So the thumb is down on the floor, raising up, and then slowly lower it back once again into cactus pose. Very slowly. If you have any arm, shoulder issues, just take your time. And straighten the arms once again over behind the head. Now lift the arms straight up. Bring them straight up. And then turn the palms towards your thighs and bring your arms down towards your legs. Draw your knees together. If you did have any support, just place that off to the side, but I do encourage you to acquire some blocks at any point. Okay, now some of you have said that you have trouble sitting cross-legged. Now part of that is going to be because the back is weak, the core is weak, but also too a lack of flexibility in the ankles and the knees and the hip. So if you can, take hold of bend your right leg, grab the ankle, let the knee fall out to the side the way we just had it, but you're just doing one leg at a time. Your left leg will be straight down in front, and you're taking the ankle, if you can, or higher up if you need, whatever works, or if you have a belt or strap that you can wrap around. And then some of us will not be able to, but check it out. See if you're able to bring your foot on top of your right foot, on top of your left thigh, and hold on to it with your left hand. So your right foot is bent. Now, if that doesn't work for you, bring the foot inside the leg, whatever works for you. Do what you can, practicing with awareness, respect, and compassion, please. But if you can, bring that right foot onto your left thigh, hold on to it with your left hand. With your right hand, you're going to gently push the knee and the thigh down. Now be very careful, of course, if you have any knee issues. I'm thinking of the people out there without naming them. And I do encourage any of you to share with me any impediments or issues that you're having. And I do my best to address. But if you're feeling any pain with anything I or any other teacher suggests, please listen to your bodies. So holding here, obviously stretching the top of the foot, flexing the ankle, which is good because normally the foot is in the opposite direction. So this is a nice stretch on the top of the foot. We did work on our ankles and feet last week. And then carefully, slowly release that leg, slide it down in front, and bang out the back of the knee. Okay, let's bend the other leg. Might be better, could be worse. We don't know, we'll find out. And then again, you're taking the foot by the ankle, bending the knee a lot. And if you can, draw the left foot on top of the right thigh. Hold the foot there with your right hand, and with your left hand, gently coax the knee and the thigh down towards the floor. So the idea here, again, is to loosen up the hip joints, those 22 muscles. We're going to work them, stretch them, and strengthen them today to protect the hip. And try to reduce any chance of injury or further damage to a joint that may already feel a bit weak. But it's only by stretching, strengthening all the ligaments, all the tendons, the muscles around a joint, that joint is supported. Otherwise, it's just a bone, pressing into another bone where it may fit nicely, but it requires all that support. So again, you're working the left knee down towards the floor, stretching the inner thigh. Breathe. So that suffering, the 5 klesas, which are like, it's like a dirty windshield. You can't see out the windshield. It clouds your vision. And that's what the 5 klesas are all about. These are the 5 poisons of the mind. And, for the rest of the 8 weeks, I want to get into some of the things that didn't necessarily draw us to yoga, but they might come up while we're practicing our yoga. All those long held patterns, and gently bring this leg up and slowly release and straighten that leg out in front and bang out the back of that knee. And get that extra blood supply nourishing the knee joint. Okay, one more time. Let's bring the right foot one more time up on top of the left thigh, if you're able to. And I want you to bend the left leg now and place the sole of the foot of the left leg on the floor. So left leg is bent with the sole of the foot on the floor, and your right leg is bent, but you've got your foot on the thigh. Now, can you draw your left knee towards you? Now, if you find this really intense, you're going to bring your ankle up, the right ankle on top of your left knee. But for those of us who can, I want you to keep your foot near the top of your thigh, and I want you to straighten your leg and pull the left leg towards you. Now that's more intense. Some of us are just going to have our ankle over our knee, and you know this one. This is lying down, pigeon pose, and you're just going to draw your knee towards you. Those of us who have a little more flexibility, one leg is straight, one is bent, pulling towards you, and breathe. Holding the posture, not the breath. Try not to lift your head off the floor. If it doesn't rest comfortably on the floor, have a pillow nearby to support your head. And then bend that straight leg, and let's take both knees straight down onto the floor slowly and bang out the back of both legs. I hope you didn't schedule anything close after the class, because given that we started 10 minutes late, we need to continue. And I would advise that you never do, actually. It's really great to let the effects of what we do wash over. Okay, so once again, the opposite side now, you're bringing the left foot on top of the right thigh, right up near the hip crease. If that's not available because of knee issues or ankle or hip, then your left ankle is on top of your right, just above the knee on the thigh, and you're pulling the knee towards you. Those of us who can, that foot is high. You're going to straighten the right leg, take hold of that thigh or leg, and pull towards you. So you're straightening your right leg, pulling towards you. This is all about getting greater flexibility into the ankle joint, the knee, the hip. And for those of you doing the pigeon, well, you'll be feeling that in your butt, which is okay too, because we're going to work those muscles very soon. Okay, so let's stop that torture. And once again, straighten the legs down in front of you. Bang out the backs of your knees. And then just roll the legs side to side. They're rolling, you're just rolling them from one side to the other. It moves that large femur bone once again in the hip joint, and gently awakens and enlivens the muscles, the 22 of them that are supporting the hip joint. Okay, so let's draw the knees towards the chest now. And we'll just make sure our lower back is kind of warmed up. So let's bring the knees up towards the chest. Glue the ankles, knees, and thighs together. Take your arms out to the side, shoulder height. Galvanize your core by engaging and drawing your abdominal muscles, your navel towards your lower spine. Now I want you to take both knees glued together over to the right, keeping the left shoulder on the mat. Turn your head to the opposite direction. Left shoulder stays on the mat. Opposite. Inhale slowly, come back to center. Feel your core engage. This will also help if you're in the meditation class on Thursdays. If you would like to check it out, let me know in an email. I'll include you tomorrow. And then take both knees over to the left, and your right shoulder stays on the mat. The slower you go, the more you engage. If you go fast, you're not getting much out of this. So slow down. Slowly come back to center. One more time, take both knees glued together over to the right side, head to the left. You may notice you got a little more mobility in the lower back. Slowly come back to center. And exhale, both knees, ankles glued together, taking them over to the left side, head to the right. How you doing, tech guy? Is your adrenaline still?
A stressful morning.
This was a stressful morning. It was. It's been a kind of stressful week, stressful year. I hope you're not listening to too much news anymore, kids. It's just so terrible. I'm going to do a GoFundMe and do positive, play happy music, real music for a change. Okay, hands underneath the backs of your thighs. Rock up to a seated position. Now, you have an option here of checking out to see if cross-legged, how that might feel. I mean, I'm feeling a lot looser, but here's the reason. Now, you can do whatever you like, just sit here. You can sit on the back of your heels. If you have a cushion, and I always, if you have a meditation practice, you need to lift your hips up. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, okay? So here's what I want. We're gonna just do a little bit of wrist movement because we're gonna be working those today too. So just rotate. All that clicking, texting, pecking. Oh boy. So rotate in the opposite direction. Okay, and now pumping. So just take one hand and push back. So just getting some extra blood supply into the wrist. And let's go the other way. Okay, shake it out. Shake it out, Taylor. Okay, bring your hands together in prayer, Anjali Mudra. And then I want you to bring your arms up. Can you get your elbows together here? And then lower back down. Now, lifting the elbows, making them parallel to the floor. This is a good little test. Want to hold here for about 30 seconds. If you feel any burning in your carpal tendon, then that would indicate that you may have CTS, carpal tunnel syndrome, which means there are things you can purchased to alleviate that stress. So you can go online and look, but it just lifts your palm up. But this is a great stretch for the carpal tendon. Okay, I'd say that's about closing in on 30 seconds. Wow. Okay, once again, give it a little shake out. No queen wave here. We're doing the big wave. All righty. And then come on over onto your knees. And be careful again. If you have knee issues, I hope you have a cushion handy. Remember, if your toes are curled under, there's more pressure on your knees than if you just flatten the tops of your feet. Okay, so the tops of your feet flatten, it spreads the pressure out over on your knee. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is take your right hand and your left hand. And if you can see here, my palms are facing up and my fingers are pointing towards me. And you're trying to straighten your arms. And again, nice little stretch. Wow. And then turn them in. And then turn them up. And turn them sideways. And one more time. So palms are up. Turn them in. Turn your palms down, fingers pointing forward. And then turn them out to the side. Okay, whoa. Okay, these are going to get a rest now, but just do whatever you need to kind of shake that out. Alrighty, so we're going to come over onto our side and we're going to do some leg lifts. Now, this was the thing that I was just talking to you about. So start on your, actually you should start on your left side, but tech guy wants me to put my head towards the camera, so I got to start on this side. But it doesn't matter, we're going to do both sides. And then if it's comfortable, you can put your head in your hand or you can lay your head down. But here's the deal. When we lift this leg up, please don't roll back onto your butt. If anything, tilt your pelvis slightly forward. And when you lift the leg, I want you to think about lifting the heel. Okay, so lead with the heel. All right, so lifting up. Because if you're rolling over on your back, you'll be able to lift your leg a lot higher. But this way, this is where we are strengthening, nourishing, protecting this hip joint. Again, if you have the osteoporosis, so you're lifting up and come on down. Shh. This also works core, the obliques. That helps with sitting up. So you're leading with your heel and you're keeping your pelvis tilted forward. Exhale as you lower. Inhale. So not really exciting, but it's pretty exciting to have strong hips. And trekking through this snow, I think this is, apropos for strengthening the 22 muscles. That's your femur. It's got a round top and it fits into the acetabulum and lower, and two more, and then we'll flip over to the other side. Lifting, leading with your heel, works your lower abs. Yes. Gets a little bit into the descending colon. Hey, did any of you guys buy any sweet potatoes and fry them up? Man, are they good. I did some of those yesterday. Oh, okay, let's switch over to the other side. You can just roll over if you like, but I am going to go to the other side. Now, the other nutritional tip, green keeps the machine clean. I came up with that last night when I was sauteing some rapini. Everybody ever had rapini? I don't know why it's so good. Okay, let's again roll the pelvis forward and lead with your heel, lifting the other leg up as high as you can, slowly. Slow, Jane. But rapini in olive oil and a little bit of chopped garlic, oh, it's so good. It's in all the grocery stores. If you've never had it and you're getting bored with broccoli, roasted vegetables are awesome too. Just so delicious. You can roast, obviously, Brussels sprouts, parsnips, carrots, cauliflower. Okay, lower the leg down. Wow. So you should be able to feel your muscles working pretty hard here. Lifting up, holding. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, come on down. And we maybe, let's do one more, just one more, in case you were thinking about food, because I was talking about it instead of focusing on the exercise. And all the way back down. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Okay, roll over onto your tummies and come on up onto your knees. Spread your fingers wide apart, middle finger points forward, curl your toes under, and let's come up into our first downward facing dog. And let's walk the dog, straightening one leg, bending the other, and change. Feel that stretch. Please relax your neck. And change. And change again. And both legs straight and come on down. Just let me give you a quick demo here. We're going to do Vashisthasana, which is an upper body strengthener. And if you want to try and lift your legs, you can. But so I want to show you the modifications on this. We are going to start in down dog, and then we're going to come into plank. And then we're going to flip over to one side. So the modifications that I want to show you are leg positions. So from dog to plank, coming over onto my side, this is the most difficult, is to stack your feet. Less difficult is to separate your feet. Less difficult is to kickstand, and easiest is to actually come down onto the shin like that. Okay? So you'll need to choose the one that you want to try today. We're going to do it on both sides. And of course, we just did that wrist workout, so we're not going to hold this a long time, but this is excellent for strengthening the wrists, the arms, the shoulders, the chest, and the core. Alrighty, so spread your fingers wide apart. Come on up into your downward facing dog, pressing your sits bones towards the back wall, and then come forward into your plank. So let's come over onto the left arm. Take your foot position, the one that works. Reach your top arm up. Exhale, down and under. Inhale, up and down. And one more up. And then come on back up into downward facing dog. And pardon my back, but let's try the other side. So again, choose your foot position. Opposite arm up, under, up, under, up, under. Come on back into plank. Dog. Inhale up onto the balls of your feet. Exhale, come on down. And let's take a well-deserved modified child's pose, or if you prefer, the full child's pose with your knees together. And then releasing your forehead to the floor. Arms beside your body. If you need extra height for your forehead, you can make a pillow with your forearms. So if you're doing the full expression of child's pose, this is huge compression on the abdominal organs to help purge them of waste, toxins, impurities. And breathe. Anybody make carrot ginger soup yet? I've been making a bunch of it, and it's nice to leave it a little bit chunky. So every season has its delicacies and the foods that we like to eat to keep us fueled, because that's what food is. It should be fuel first. All right, let's come out of that. Curl the toes under, roll back onto the soles of your feet. Let your head hang and slowly roll up, one vertebra at a time, with your head being the last thing to come up. Okay, I hope everyone's doing well and feeling like I did mention it would be a vigorous workout, didn't I? Okay, so let's keep the vigor. You can rest after. Come on up to the fronts of your mats for sun salutations. Inhale, in place. Exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, arms up, reach up, look up, and arc back. Inhale, stretch up, lift out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold, reaching. Fingertips to the floor. Please let your head hang. Step your right leg back, drop your knee to the mat, hands on the opposite thigh. If you're lifting the knee off the floor, go ahead. Focus your gaze, press through your back heel, keep your torso straight over your hips. Inhale and sweep those arms up. High lunge. Keep your shoulders down, fingers are active. Turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart, bring them to the mat. Take the other leg back into our plank position. I hope you're feeling good and strong here. Your wrists are being nourished. Release your knees. Flatten the tops of your feet so your toes are pointing backwards. Leave your hands where they are as you slowly take your buttocks back towards your heels. Feel your belly on your thighs. And then if you can, release your forearms and elbows to the mat. Slowly come forward. And then let your chin and your chest alight. Slide everything out behind you. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Your forehead is flat on the floor. Pressing your hips and pelvis into the mat. Bring your elbows into your side body and then draw your forearms towards the floor. Roll an invisible alley, lengthening your neck. Slowly lifting up your head, neck, and shoulders in baby cobra. Strengthening your lower back. We're going to do some prone positions today. They're super energizing, strengthening, healing for the kidneys, ovaries, prostate, abdominal glands. One more inhale, exhale, come on back down. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a couple of inches forward, bend your knees, press your belly to your thighs, press your chest to your knees. All 10 fingers are being pressed into the mat. And now as you exhale, take your sits bones backwards as you straighten your legs. Coming into your inverted V, Adho Mukha Shavasana. Downward facing dog. Feel that stretch in the backs of your legs, your Achilles tendons, all you tennis people out there. Gee, I didn't hear of Denis Shapovalov. You know what? It's a tough name to say. Lift that right leg up if he ended up winning or not against Nadal. Wasn't looking good last time I saw. Okay, bring that right leg forward, all the way up towards your right hand, or pick it up at the ankle and place it there. Other leg forward, Let your head hang. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by lifting up your kneecaps and then protect your lower back by drawing your belly, your navel in towards your lower spine. Inhale, sweep up, feet apart for balance, reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold, let your head hang. Bend your knees, inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up and overhead. Bring your paws together in prayer pose, Anjali Mudra, all the way down, grazing your nose, bringing it to your heart center. And exhale. Well, let's just do another round. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, arms up, reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, reach forward, stretching, hinging at the tops of your legs, your hips. And let your fingertips touch the floor. Bend your knees if you need to, of course. And then step your left leg back, drop the knee to the mat. Bring your hands onto your front thigh. Focus your gaze if you're going to balance. Lifting the knee off the floor or leave it there. Inhale, sweep the arms up, coming up into your high lunge. Activating the hip joints, strengthening and stretching them. That's the focus today, besides our discussion of the 5 klesas, the 5 afflictions of the mind. Avidya is the first one, which is not seeing things as they are, wishing they were something other than they are. This brings us great distress. Don't like what you see, think by not liking it, you'll change it. No, not saying we shouldn't do something about it. Turn your hands forward, bring them to the floor, take the front leg back, come on into your push-up plank position. Developing titiksha, the ability to endure hardship. Reaching through the crown. Now release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, leave your hands where they are, and slowly take your buttocks back towards your heels. Feel your belly on your thighs. Release your forearms and elbows to the mat. Slowly come forward. Slow, slow, slow. And then release your chest and your chin onto your mat. Slide everything out behind you. And then line up your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Draw your elbows into your side rib cage. Push your forearms down towards the floor, taking the shoulders away from the ears. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. On an inhale, we'll all lift our head, neck, and shoulders off the floor. We can stop here, or we can press the floor away from us and come up into the fuller expression of Cobra, opening up the chest, pressing into the kidneys to release toxins and waste. One more inhale up, exhale, lengthen as you lower. And then curl your toes under, press up into downward facing dog. Walk your feet a few inches forward, then bend your knees. Press your belly onto your thighs, press your chest towards your knees. Allow your neck and your ears to align with your arms. And then slowly press your heels towards the floor, feeling a beautiful stretch in the Achilles tendons, the calves. And as you're pressing, try to take some of the weight out of your hands here and bring it into the lower half of your body. So you'll do that by pressing your sits bones towards the back wall and drawing your heels towards the floor. Lift your left leg up in the air. Look at your left hand. Swing that foot as far forward as you can. Other leg forward, and let your head hang. Really let your head hang here. And then pull your bellies in, engage your thighs, bring your arms beside your ears. Inhale, sweep up, feet apart for balance, reach up, look up, and arc back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, prayer, flat out and relaxing. Flat out on your mats. Take a sip of water if you need. Turn your palms up in the open and receiving position and allow the benefits of your performance to wash over you, as well as gather some energy before we begin again. So the klesas, avidya. Number one, not accepting what is. In fact, the greater resistance, the greater the suffering. So it's good to be in touch with reality, and reality does bite sometimes, but being in reality and then figuring out, if anything, what you can do. But the 5 klesas, I didn't invent them. The next ones are raga and devesa. So with ragas, it's like, if we had a pleasurable experience, could we have that again and again and again and again and again? So there's an attachment. Devesas is, I didn't like that, and I never want that to happen again. So again, it's an attachment to not wanting something, or having, our desires pull us around by the earlobe, this way, that way, or your nose, or whatever. I like this, I don't like that. This causes us a lot of mental anguish. If we could just find, well, I don't prefer that, but that's what it is, avidya. Okay? And I'm going to get into the next 2 because they're pretty big. Asmita and Abhinesa, which is the story of me, mine, I. And we'll do that. We'll get into that in a moment. Okay. But before that, taking now a final breath in Shavasana, we are going to bring the knees up into the chest, one hand on each knee. I did something last week to my rib cage. I don't know what I'd done, but I'm very aware that I did something. So I guess I'm going to make a trip to my chiropractor soon. Okay, so place your hands underneath the backs of your bent thighs and rock up, and then come on over onto your abdomen. So we're going to work on some prone positions before we wrap it up with some standing positions. Now, as I said, these are very energizing, they're strengthening, and we're going to start here on our bellies with our head on the floor. And I want you to take your arms into that goalpost position now, that cactus position, okay? Just lift the arms up. You'll notice takes a little work, that's for sure. And then extend the arms straight out in front and bring them back to cactus. Inhale, lengthen straight out the front. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, right out front. And now lift your head off the floor and get both legs and arms up and down, kind of like you're swimming. And that's creating a little bit of a cramp in one of my hamstrings. Wow, so this is interesting. I wonder if anybody else, but I'll just stop for a moment and start again. It's funny how if you just say, hello, cramp, what's new? Oh, okay. And then turn your head now to the left. Bring your arms down beside your body. Big toes touch, heels splay out. Now, I don't have to tell you that's cardiovascularly demanding. I mean, it's working against gravity. But basically, I needed to get the blood out to the extremities. So that makes your heart work a little harder, but it strengthens your heart too. You need to work your heart in order to keep it strong, within reason, of course. All righty.
So bring your head back to the center. Your arms remain beside your body. Actually, let's take the hands underneath the thighs. We're going to do Ardha Salambhasana. Now, I know that most people are taught that they should make a fist. And I mean, I was taught this way too, to make a fist underneath the thighs, and actually was to turn the fist so that the back of the hand is facing the front of the thigh. But I don't find that comfortable at all. I even sometimes will cup my hands together in front of my pelvic area because we're just going to lift the legs up, okay? Ardha half Salabhasana. So just bring the legs up, whatever hand position feels good to you. Please go for it. So just the legs are coming up. Breathing. Can you lift them a little higher? One more inhale. Exhale, release down. Take the arms out from underneath the thighs. Please turn your head to the opposite side now. Big toes touch, heels splay out, and your paws are facing up. And let your shoulders melt. So energizing and strengthening, working the heart muscle, and working all the muscles on the back of the body, which, you know, the body stores a lot of stuff. So when it comes to the kleshas, everything I'm talking about that's in the mind, if we're not dealing with it, winds up in the body, and it creates this whole matrix of holding patterns, which can affect us physically. And of course, they're affecting us mentally too, but we may not be aware of that. But if our body is stiff and tight in an area, it may not just be due to physical lack of use or abuse. It could be this matrix of psychological holding patterns of one of the kleshas. Okay, so bring the head back to center. Let's do the full Monty now, the full Salabhasana pose. So your arms are beside your body with your palms facing up. Legs are together. Forehead on the mat, hips and pelvis pressing gently into the mat. Roll the invisible alley with your nose to lengthen your neck. And then on an inhale, let's lift head, neck, shoulders, arms, and legs coming up. Everything. And breathe. So on every inhale, can you lift a little bit more? And then hold on the exhale. Lifting. Holding. One more lift. Oh, come on all the way down. Turn your head back to the left side again, or the opposite of which, wherever it was. Big toes touch. Heels splay out. Shoulders melt. I know a lot of people don't care for back bends, and they're not flattering. They are a lot of work, but the benefits are enormous. So we store fear in the back of our bodies. We store aggression in the front of the bodies, but we're letting go of fear while we do these back bends. We're strengthening the muscles in the back of the body. They're not muscles that we typically pay attention to, but they're getting our full attention now, aren't they? Okay, bring the head back to center. Bend the right arm in front of the head, but keep the forehead on the floor. You're going to bend the left leg. Take it out as far as you need to. Whoops. Boy, that left hamstring, like, not happy today. Wants to cramp up. So the idea here is to take hold of, I'm banging out my thigh and my knee to see if I can help my left hamstring relax, because I'm going to try and grab the ankle one more time if it's going to let me. It's letting go a little bit, but basically, if you can, you're going to pull your left bent thigh off the floor, holding on to the ankle. curl the toes under of the other leg. So just that left leg is coming off the floor. So my hamstring finally let go. Lifting up, so this gets into the kidneys nicely and the adrenals that sit on top of the kidneys. Those precious little stress glands. And then release that leg and let's change. See what's going on the other side with the right leg. So again, you're bending your right leg, reaching your right arm behind, and you're going to grab the ankle and try to lift that leg off the floor. So this is interesting. My hamstrings are really tight. Here we go. So clearly, this is stretching the front of the thigh, hip flexors. One more inhale, release, let go. And now take the feet wide apart. We're going to come into crocodile pose, Makrasana. So you're going to place one forearm on top of the other, the hand on the forearm, and you're bringing your forehead onto your forearms so that just the upper part of your diaphragm and chest are off the floor. Your forehead is resting on your forearms or your wrist area. Your feet are the width of the mat. And just gently breathe in here. Remember, your diaphragm is your prana pump. Prana is breath. Prana is life force, chi, energy, ki. It has all these different names, but they all are what is important. So making sure that we are activating the diaphragm, the prana pump, to get lots of life force into the body. And release Makrasana and bring your arms beside your body and turn your head now to the opposite side. Big toes touch, heels splay out, palms facing up, shoulders melting. Once again, allowing the benefits of your performance to be integrated. And gathering energy for a little vinyasa of standing postures before we take our final Shavasana. Okay, bring your head to center. Draw the arms up underneath the shoulders. Come on up onto your knees. Curl your toes under, walk your hands back. And let's slowly, by letting your head hang, roll up to standing. Head being the last thing to come up. All right, how are we doing? Okay, so we're going to do a short vinyasa, and you may want to have a chair handy because we're going to do balance pose, or have your blocks handy if you should need them. So we're starting out in Warrior One. So step your left foot back about 2.5 feet. Separate your feet so that your front foot's 90 degrees forward and your back foot about 70 degrees forward. But this allows your hips, pelvis, chest, and shoulders to face the front of your mat. Now bend your front knee. And then inhale and sweep the arms up. Again, keep the shoulders down, rib cage in. Now, take your arms behind your back, interlock your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Lift your heart and your eyes up. Keep that front knee bent, back leg straight. Now exhale, slowly, leading with your heart. Fold forward, bring your torso inside of your front thigh. coming into humble warrior. Let your head hang. Now release your arms. This is where you may want your blocks, some extra height. We're going to come into front angle bend called Parsvottanasana. Tent your fingertips on the floor or on your block. Straighten that front leg. That's all you're doing here, straightening the front leg. Now, if that doesn't work, then bend your back leg. But adding extra height here, and if you do have your blocks, you've got 3 different heights. Keep your neck aligned with your spine. And then bend your front knee. Inhale, sweeping the arms up to shoulder height. Now, we're going to transfer the weight. Oh, and by the way, those exercises that we were doing earlier with the leg lifts, this is strengthening those muscles helps us when we're shifting our weight. Because when we walk, let's face it, you have all your weight on one leg when you're walking because you have to lift the other leg, right? So that was excellent. So if you find your hips are weak, go back to that leg lift exercise and repeat. Okay, so warrior 3, you're shifting, transferring your weight onto your front leg, lifting your back leg off the floor. Take your time for balance poses, turning the body into a T shape or an airplane. Whatever's working, and step your leg down and give your legs a good shake out. And let's try the other side. Are we using both cameras or can I?
You do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want. I like that. I do anyway, don't I? Okay, so now let's do the other side. So you're going to step your right leg back, your left leg's forward. Again, get some separation between your feet and have your front foot 90 degrees forward, back foot about 70 degrees, and then bend that front leg. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1, strengthening those hips. And then bring your arms behind your body, interlock your fingers, lift your heart and your eyes up. Exhale, lead with your heart as you lift your arms up with your fingers clasped, coming into humble warrior. The front leg stays bent, the back leg stays straight. And then release your arms, tent your fingers on the floor, on a block. And then let's try to straighten that front leg, stretching those, what were my tight hamstrings today. They were really acting up. But again, you know, maybe I've got a lot of fear in my body. The brakes went on my car the other day when I was driving down Fallingbrook. Let me tell you something. It was terrifying, actually. So inhale. So maybe that's why my hams are still holding that experience. Coming into warrior 1 and getting ready to transition into warrior 3. Take your time for balance. If you have a chair handy, or maybe your dog is patiently standing at the front of your mat, and you can put your hands on his back. Okay, and stepping back into warrior 3, and then come into the center of your mat. Turn your feet out. Hinge from your hips forward. Tent your fingers on the floor. Let's lunge over to the right. Up and over to the left. Back over to the other side one more time. And last time, other side. Lovely. Bring your feet together and bring yourself flat out onto your mats for a moment into your final position, Shavasana. Don't skip it, folks. Believe me. If you have any stress or tension in your body, give it up. And the best way to give it up is to lie down and consciously surrender, consciously let go. So turn your palms up in the open and receiving position. I just want to spend a moment here talking to you about the last 2 kleshas, which are really, again, the disturbances of the mind. So asmita, this is the stories that we construct about I, me, and mine. In fact,
for a lot of us, sometimes our worlds are constructed all about me, all about mine. It's just, you know, and that leads into the last klesa, which is abhinivesa, and it's the fear of letting go. And death is not the biggest fear. It's the fear that we don't exist, that we don't matter, that me is gone, all the stories are gone. And beyond that, when we're so wrapped up in I, me, and mine, we lack the space to have compassion for others, to be truly interested and involved and caring for others. And that brings us to a state of deep loneliness and isolation. So this is the 5 klesas are, as I say, they're holding patterns that we may not even be aware of. And the greater our resistance to what is, or not having what it is that we think we want or need, the greater the suffering. So just know that in yoga, the body, working the body the way you have today, is releasing a lot of the holding patterns. But they'll come back in if our minds are wired. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow in meditation practice. You can think about your mind like a record. There are grooves, but those grooves can be changed to play a different tune. And we talk about how to do that. So I hope that today is a good day for you to think about some of the things that were discussed, to become present, aware. And as Thich Nhat Hanh, a very beautiful man who just died, a great teacher to thousands of people. I mean, other than the Dalai Lama, he would be one of the greatest teachers that we've known in our lifetime. With every step you take, imagine you're kissing the earth with your feet. He has lots of beautiful inspiration. I recommend any of his books. My books are my friends. My books are my support. My books are my consolation when I really need help. So once again, have a beautiful day and namaste.